Hey, Michelle, thanks for the introduction and welcome everybody to this webinar today. My name is Javier Ramirez and I'm the practice director for the F&O business unit at Turnkey Technologies. Been working with this solution for the last 15 years and it's pretty exciting to see how it's evolving in comparison with other systems that were happening at that time, right? So basically the evolution of Microsoft Dynamics 365 is basically what today allow us or will allow us to talk about how we could be driving or increasing our return of investment by replacing our current ERP systems. So I'm an industrial engineer. Started working on the industry before I became a consultant. So at the end of the day, one of the things that we are proud to say as part of Turnkey Technologies is that we focus not only on a system solution, right, but we look into business processes. We are business analysts, and all the time we're trying to recommend the best practice that we lived prior our consulting life at the industry. So that being said, I really appreciate the time that you are taking this morning to attend this webinar. And let's get started. Okay, so our main focus right now, remember, is okay. So how do we can have a better or a better return of investment by replacing our legacy system? And at the end of the day, there could be a lot of different ways or concepts of how we can reach this, right? This goal, because at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's a goal and how we can reach about it. So today, our focus is going to be based on one of the answers of it, which is, okay, in order to increase or see faster my return of investment, right? I do need to have unified business management solutions. One of the main challenges that we see in the industry as of today is the lack of unified solutions take us to a lot of time or a lot of wasting time, a lot of downtime in several of our daily operations. So again, there are several different answers in order to say how the simple change of my former or my current ERP to a new generation ERP is going to help me to bring more revenue. It's going to help me to have a better margin. It's going to help me to have a better profit and loss statement, right? Well, that's again, is one of the ways this is going to happen. It's basically unifying business on a solution that could be centralized or managed in a centralized way. What we're showing here is some of the most common things that actually start or most of the common elements that ring some bells in the companies when we say, hey, are we out of date on our ERPs? No, it's like we have disconnection of our systems. We have reporting limitations. Our systems are actually getting expensive on updates, or there are some of those that actually cannot be updated or upgraded anymore, and then I need to hire people that actually knows how to use technology that it's not current as of today. All these things come whenever we are trying to grow our business, right? We are trying to have more business, more customers. We have a bigger and a more extensive supply chain that we used to have 10 years ago. We need a system that keeps growing with us. And these three are kind of the main limitations that doesn't allow us to have a unified business. So basically, why do we need to move on? What are kind of elements that actually, or pain points that could take us to this or are part of these problems, right? So we have a big total cost of ownership, right? Which it's something that will be taken care by moving from your current system to, for example, a cloud solution, right? Support, security, visibility, how many times as part of our organization, we have internal communications that are not as effective as they should be. How many times Do we need to have an email or a phone call to know if another department already performed a certain action, right? So I can start doing my daily job. How many times as a worker I get into my workstation and I don't know what I need to do, right? So all those kind of things, all that visibility, all that reducing of cost of ownership, all the timing that you will be spending or the time that will be reduced to getting support, right? To make sure that a user has the help that they need handy. How much money and how much time we are losing on that? By unifying your business processes and have a tool that has all that centralized is how we are trying to increase the return of investment and allow your business or your solution to grow with and at the rhythm that your business is intending to grow. Why cloud, right? And that's one of the questions that have been coming during the last years is, yep, you know what, we are going to save money on the infrastructure administration. You are going to have a disaster recovery. You are going to be able to integrate other cloud solutions. At the end of the day, all the technology is going there, right? So several different platforms are already in cloud. So integrate between cloud solutions via REST APIs. It's so much easier than it used to be by using files, and also more secure, right? Accessibility everywhere, that's another factor. And basically, one of the most important ones when we talk about unified business management solutions is the automatic upgrades and updates of the solution. Okay, let's just forget about the times when I have this on-premise version, and right now it's going to get out of being updated because I need to make an upgrade to the next version, right? Otherwise, I will be out of support, and you keep upgrading and upgrading and upgrading. Okay, so that is something that we are trying to avoid, all those costs, right, that are inherent to those upgrades. Now, another thing is why we believe that Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations is one of the best options out of the market in order to perform this unified business solution. One, it has in the solution and the proposal of Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations, it's focused on two main things: operational innovation and technology modernization, which is the future, where the things are going. Whenever we jump from our former system to a new system, we just don't want to have the ability to grow at the level that we are growing as of today. We want the ability to keep growing, and we want the ability to actually start reaching out for other technology that it's right now just getting created, and it's going to be developed in 2, in 3, in 4, in 5, in 10 years. So we don't want to be changing our ERP again. That's Microsoft Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations play. It's going to be an ERP that you will deploy, you will implement, and you will forget about doing those tasks as long as you have your organization. Microsoft is investing every year millions of dollars in new features, billions of dollars in security, right? So that's Microsoft Dynamics play. As I was telling you, streamline procurement to delivery, right? Accelerate delivery, implement a unified and intelligent production lifecycle, and basically try to automate business processes as part of the technology part. Build scalable mobile and web apps across or in between the or inside the same ERP or across other solutions. That's basically Microsoft's play. So one of the things that I just want to make sure we talk about is before we jump into the demo is some other factors, right? Specifically for the supply chain management, right? So current systems and former systems, right? Mostly the on-premise ones, we do have a lack of real-time intelligence and insights, right? That stop us or doesn't allow us to take decisions as fast as we should. How many times we are not closing a deal because I don't have the information handy, right? How many times I don't have my inventory on hand number on my cell phone, so I can make sure that I can deliver some products today, right? Or provide a service if I do have a technician. That at the end of the day gets translated in a difficulty to meet my customer expectations, right? And at the end of the day, we don't have flexibility to add new capabilities in our former systems. These are three main factors why a lot of companies start looking to some other options. Now, what does the future looks like? And actually, the near future, right? So this tells us as a company, as manufacturing companies or supply chain companies, where the technology will be in the next 5 years getting applied to our day-to-day operations, right? So 79 of the companies that provide supply chain services and in generally speaking, even services, professional services, basically, they're going to start using Internet of Things, right? So Internet of Things, at the end of the day, let's say you want to know in your cell phone whenever your line is ready to be stopped because they do have a maintenance required, right? When do you want to know if something got broken into a line machine? Okay, so that's part of IoTs, right? That's part of the Internet of Things connectors that D365 has embedded by default. Other classic scenario, warehouse operations, right? Warehouse operations right now, everybody or most of the companies, they are going to scanning, and there's no way you can have a warehouse operation without having scanning tools and scanning capabilities. But in the future, right, and not a big future, not a really long future, but a short one, the workers will be more supplemented by robotics, right? What about voice picking? What about visual picking, right? So all that kind of technology is something that Microsoft is investing and will be part of the roadmap of the product, okay? So ways to have voice picking, ways to have visual picking by locations and lights turning red and lights turning green, depending on the availability of my product. And at the end of the day, as I was telling you, probably right now, 30% of the manufacturers use sensors on the machines to provide inputs and insights on their ERPs, running times, right? Quantities produced, so we can predict maintenance. Okay, so probably if you have errors or issues in your PLCs, those are actually sent to the managers via an alert on the ERP or via an application that it's linked to D365 Finance and Operations. So that is the vision, and that's how, at the end of the day, on the long run, your return of investment will be actually impacted. Okay, so again, it's the vision of Dynamics 365 is not just to fulfill a current need, but also to prepare you to keep growing with no limitations. That's when the real benefit comes. So a little bit of an overview of the structure of Dynamics 365, right? Before we jump into all these screens and demos, just want to make sure that we are aware of this one. D365 Finance and Operations, it's an ERP, yes. But the important thing is, how are we talking about all this entire platform? How can you tell me that that an ERP is going to be connected to all these things outside, right? What platform is supporting that? Well, it's basically Microsoft Dynamics 365 Power Platform. As you can see on this image, it's pretty descriptive how finance and operations is a little part of the equation, right? It's surrounded by Office 365, it's surrounded by Azure Active Directory, it's surrounded by Power Apps, by Microsoft Flow, by common data service, which is basically what we call as our Power Platform. It's surrendered by app sources. It's surrendered by customer engagement tools, right, such as field service, marketing, HR modules, intelligence, Power BI, Internet of Things. So this is what makes finance and operations as an ERP that powerful, is the platform where it stands. It's not a standalone product. It's a product that it's surrendered for everything and everything that it's available under the Microsoft portfolio. Okay, this is what makes finance and operations a real big player and a supported player available to be integrated with a lot of different things out of the box. For the supply chain and manufacturing customers and focusing, this is a big kind of role, right? This is the end game. This is where we would like to have you or help you to be, right? Start from our inbound logistics process and finish on our outbound logistics process. In the middle, we will go through everything related to our back office, finance, manufacturing, execution, maintenance, repairs and operation, inventory, finished goods. So all the management of your business process, it's going to be in the middle of these two outputs, right? From the moment that something arrives to my plant, go all the way to the transformation, all the way to the back office in connection with finance, till the point where we can actually ship a finished good. Okay, this is the main goal and the main end game of Dynamics 365. And at any point of this chain, you will be able to connect and create applications that makes our users' life easier, right? So inbound logistics, we can optimize transportation, routing, monitor our supply chain, warehousing. We are going to be able to manage our capacity of the warehouse. We will be able to monitor our inventory life cycle. We're going to be able to manage maintenance, repairs, and operation on the manufacturing execution time, monitor and remote control, right? And at the end of the day, being able to ship out the product. So that being said, I will take probably the next 20, 25 minutes on a demo, just trying to show you some of the highlights of the 365 finance and operations from the unified business management solution as a way to drive a greater ROI by replacing my legacy ERP system. So I'm going to stop sharing this screen. And I'll start looking into this one. Okay. So first thing, we were talking about a centralized system, right? Okay. So the ERP should have centralized foundation. The foundation for D365 finance and operations is called lifecycle services. Before we are on the CRP, we already have a centralized place where we can manage all our environments, right? Multi-tenant solution, right? And we can actually have multiple environments under one tenant. Dynamics 365, it's a solution that basically can live anywhere. You can have factories or sites in the US, you can have factories or sites in Europe and Latin America, and you will need to have only one tenant, multiple environments. Why? Because the solution is ready to have the country regulations added to it, right? So localization is embedded on our F&O. So lifecycle services, before we even have the final product of the ERP implemented, allow us to manage our methodology, right? What are the, in this scenario, I just left this working or without working a long time. So that's why I'm just refreshing. What are the activities that's supposed to be happening during my analysis phase, right? So how do I ensure that as part of my implementation, I'm controlling that? Every single one of the phases of the implementation are driven by different activities. So basically, it's a good management of our implementation, right? So that allow us to centralize all that data and gather documents if it's needed. History about who has been doing what tasking here, documents that are now that are available in order to perform tasks. So all this can be handled in this part. Other of the things that we mentioned about as part of the conversation of infrastructure. Okay, so we're saying that talking about infrastructure, I'm not going to manage it, but that doesn't mean that you don't own it, right? It's your environment, are your resources. Microsoft is actually providing you those resources, right? But how do you monitor them? How do you know if something is going slow and you need to ask for more resources? So under lifecycle services, you have a way to come here and see what is the overview of your utilization, right? So SQL utilization, AOS utilization, our AOSs one by one, batches or AOSs that are specifically to run batch transactions. So you can see the SQL utilization, right? So that's basically the intention. This is how we could manage our environment. You will be able to see all the activity, all logs that were generated between one and another date, right? SQL insights that you will be able to see. Let's go and take a look. This environment, I want to see the live view, right? For the last 15 minutes, what's my DTU? Okay, it's 0.46%. That means that I have more than enough resources to manage my day-to-day transactions. I'm not facing any kind of a slowiness. I'm not facing any kind of performance issues. I'm just basically barely using it right now. So that's the way we can monitor. So in this scenario, what I can tell you is let's just forget the times where, hey, I have performance issues, and then you need to go to the log on Windows and go to the services and shut down services and run again services. And sometimes those services are not scaling up and they are not running anymore. So all those type of things, they are done. Why? Because if you face an issue with performance, for example, and you see that your DTU percentage is going through the roof because you have several different integrations, how do I create a support case, right? From lifecycle services, once again, you have the support ability to create issues straightforward with Microsoft, right? Submitted issues, you have the list of all the issues that you've been doing. Okay, so this is important. This is basically the other part that I was mentioning when we were talking about efficiency, right? Which actually drives ROI. Efficiency about how do we put a support and how fast do we expect to have an answer. This is a way to create Microsoft tickets right away in case we have any type of problem or issue. Other of the things that it's really important, and I just wanted to mention it, is what about, we talk about unified business process. So this is supposed to be or to make our onboarding process easier as well, right? So how much time are we spending right now to onboard one person in our daily activities, right? It's time consuming, translated to money, okay? So F&O, D365, and lifecycle services allows you to have what we call business process libraries. Business process libraries are basically repositories of processes. Right now, I will take a look at, I want to procure materials and services. Okay, let me show me what are the different processes that are under these procure materials and services, or produce and manufacture, deliver products. So I'm just going to open this one and just probably going to refresh it a little bit so it doesn't, if it's taking a long time, This one's because I haven't refreshed. So I have my corporate library, right? Let's see. Let me just review my networking here. For my network, looks like it's a little bit slow, but anyway, I'm going to probably then just come here to, there you go, that one. So in here, for example, what I will do is I'm going to start ordering materials and services. I have 19 business process, say process and review requisitions, right? How to create a requisition. And in here, you will actually take a look at the level process. You will have a diagram and you will have a document that can actually be generated and as a way of a Word document. And basically, these are the instructions that a user needs to perform a step by step, okay? So the system allows us to record all of our business processes in one same repository, depending on different areas that we have in, or the different areas that we do have as part of the company. So all these little elements that it could sound like easy, right? It's like, okay, so I could have a SharePoint repository, right? Okay, but the SharePoint repository is never going to be linked to your ERP, right? Which is part of the intention of Microsoft Dynamics 365, is to be able to run these task recorders from the ERP itself, okay? And I will show you how we can do that. So going back to these different topics we were talking about, is like, we talk about data, right? And have the ability to know what is the status of the things that I need to take a look at right away. Okay, so Microsoft Dynamics 365 has a powerful BI solution embedded to it. And we're talking about Power BI. Power BI is Microsoft's business intelligence solution, right? So that being said, if we are talking about Power Platform, right, and Dynamics 365 being part or being an element of that full environment that we were talking about in previous slides, well, it makes sense to have it embedded, right? So you can see them right now in a D365 environment, and what I am looking is at a Power BI dashboards that are out of the box. And from the time that, and from the first day that you start dropping information via your employees and via the usage of the ERP, these are dashboards that will start popping up. We talk about multi-company, being multi-company in one same environment. So I'm going to take out the numbers of this company only. Now, this company looks like they don't have anything in there, right? But then when I come here and I add, I don't know, the USMF company, right? I start seeing numbers. Right? And then basically I can see USMF as an indicator. So this allows me to see what's the power and the powerful or the power of this solution. You can see information from different companies in just one same screen by using these default dashboards. This is about your financial statement or your financial overview. But let's say you want to know what are your top 10 products, right? What are your top 10 customers by revenue? What is your bank balance by account? Customer aging, purchasing amounts by month, right? So these are what we call sub-ledger insights. Hey, I want to see where the customers that actually are buying these 37 millimeters single shot launcher. I make a click on this one and basically it's, oh, Ford Coffee, tailspin, wide, wind stiff. So these are the customers that are actually doing it. And you know what? This is the, these are, well, the purchases by expenditure in here. If I go here to a different number, it starts changing also my balance account, because that balance account, it's linked to, okay, how much money I've been receiving based on this type of product, right? Attached to this type of customers, and that modify my balance account for that. So, hey, Do I have the ability? Because these are Microsoft pre-designed Power BI dashboards. Do I have the ability to modify some of these ones, right? So right now I'm looking at purchase expenditure analysis. Do I have that ability? Yes, you have the ability to come here and hit edit analytics. And this is going to show you the different measurements which can be translated to cubes, right? That are available in order to create your own dashboard. So you can see on my right side panel, we have all these measurements, okay, which has all these fields involved. Can I start modifying or can I duplicate this one? Right, I'm gonna hit duplicate. I'm creating just a new one, duplicate of purchase by product. And can I start dropping different information? The answer is yes. I'm gonna save this and hey, is this change going to be retrieved to F&O? Let me just refresh this and I remember I created a duplicate screen, right? So hopefully this is going to show a duplicate tab in here, duplicate of purchase by product. So I am able to modify the standard dashboards that we do have as part of the out-of-the-box solution. This is data-driven decisions, data-driving decisions. That's basically what it is. That's the intention of all this stuff. Okay, so jumping to another point of discussion, right, is usability for workers, right, and efficiency when I am preparing or doing my job. I'm just going to give a couple of examples in here, right, which is the other part that actually drives my unified business management solution, and at the end of the day, my return of investment. You know what? As part of the things that I buy a lot of things for main suppliers such as Amazon. Okay. I really don't want to go manually and make a purchase on Amazon, right? And then come back to my ERP and actually type in again my purchase order or my requisition, okay? And in order to start making my receipts and my AP. No, I would like a system that could connect to all these big players, right? Because at the end of the day, we're talking about a cloud solution against another cloud solution. So what are the offers that Microsoft Dynamics 365 has for me? So I will create, and I'm going to make sure we take a look at one example. I'm going to create a requisition as a user, and I'm going to show you how easy is the interface with other systems. So I'm going to open here an external catalog, and I'm going to open my Amazon external catalog. What the system is doing, or it's going to do, it's open Amazon web page, right? And I am pretty comfortable working here, right? I buy a lot on Amazon. Of course, this is linking to an account, right? I'm going to buy these pen colors, right? $7.99. It's in stock, perfect. So usually as a good Amazon buyer, I just come here and hit add to cart, right? Suggesting me to buy some other stuff. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to proceed to my checkout, right? It's purely interfaces that I know as part of today's world, right? Yes, I'm going to deliver this address, right? And I'm going to select my delivery. So, yep, option. This is going to be the credit card that it's going to be charged. Yep, I'm going to hit my continue and says this order requires approval. Submit order for approval. So what's going to happen right now? This data needs to come back to my ERP, right? I'm going to select here my procurement category because I have it manually. This is an office supply. And I have the price and I have the item number. Am I handling this item number as part of my product list? The answer is no, I don't need to. I don't need to put all that extra management, right, on top of my operation. I want the item descriptions come from Amazon. I want the supplier ID coming automatically. right? I want to know that this is an external catalog purchase. This is the Amazon number, right? My vendor account, the vendor status has been approved. And you know what? I'm going to send this for approval, right? Once the process gets approved, then Amazon release my order. That's the intention, and that's the grade of integration or the level of integration that Microsoft Dynamics 365 offers out of the box. Of course, just as I show it today with Amazon, well, we have the opportunity and the ability to do it with other systems. Okay. Other of the things I wanted to show is like when we talk about streamlined processes, right? We want to do more automation. Automation today, I will show it to you in the way of optical character recognition. And today it's going to be based on invoicing from my vendors, right? But you can name it. Object character recognition, at the end of the day, it's reading a PDF, right? And it could be applied for whatever you are receiving as a PDF document. And it can impact any business process inside the ERP. So I do have a portal. I could have a portal, or I can just come here to my Outlook. And I remember I do have a draft email. Let me just show this draft email. I'm a vendor, right? And I have this ultra dense sample. This is an invoice. I'm going to send my customer this invoice. A customer has a URL, I'm sorry, an email address. You send it, right? Or you can upload invoices, right? Choose your files. You know what? I'm going to send this one. Upload. Your invoice has been submitted. Good stuff. What does that mean? Well, that means that those records that I just submit by email, right, are part of my ERP. Clinker. Right. The lines that are in the invoicing here, let me try to make a little bit of a zoom, right? 6 lines we have on the paper. 6 lines we inserted into the system. No more typing, right? It's not like, oh, I have a PDF I'm going to open and I'm going to create a record on the ERP. The amounts are actually the same ones that you do have in here, right? And basically you have your total. So now you can send these automatically to be approved and posted. AP automation, right? So OCR solutions created via a web portal, right? Or created via email addresses. Really doesn't matter. The way it will work is the same one. The ability to have side to side the business process and the image also allow us for audit audit trails purposes. It gives us a lot of benefits, right? How many times do you spend a lot of time with auditors just giving them the documents that they are asking for, right? So this is a way where everything is on the system. And again, is we are unifying our solution. We are integrating different tools and different elements, outside elements, right? Such as vendors or customers into my equation, into my system. So I reduce the management time that I need to put inside my 4 walls. Okay. The last thing that I wanted to show you as part of today's presentation, it's a part of the Power Apps, right? As I was telling you, Power Apps, it's huge and supporting in a huge manner F&O, D365 Finance and Operations. Power Apps contains multiple connectors with other solutions. Probably the most common one and the most the one that it's mostly used for a lot of companies between F&O and their current customer engagement system, it's Salesforce, right? So Microsoft already developed a connector between Salesforce and Power Apps. Why Microsoft is not developing a connector between Salesforce and D365 F&O? Oh, because in that way, they should be developing one between F&O and Business Central and Great Plains and every single one of the ERPs on their stack. But if those ERPs have one thing in common, they do have the ability to integrate with Power Apps. Okay, so then let's just integrate Power Apps against Salesforce. That's going to reduce management and it's going to make upgrades and updates easier, right? So such as Salesforce, there are some other connectors, right? APIs straightforward to SAP, APIs straightforward with AWS Cloud, connectors against Oracle Cloud, okay? So in this scenario, I will just show you a Power App. How does that look once we run it, right? And unfortunately, I cannot show you this to my cell phone, right? Because of webinar. But what I'm doing is I'm reproducing this just as if it was my mobile device. So in this scenario, this app, it's about uploading images by scanning, right? And again, if you can select what's the target, and you can create as many targets as you need. Right now, I'm talking about items and purchase orders and sales orders, master catalogs of my ERP. So I select my items and then basically I will set go or hit go, and the system will give me at this point, or it's making the connection against a specific environment. It's telling me, okay, so which one's going to be the item that you want to take a picture of? Oh, this is the item. And right now, basically, it's me speaking. So I'm going to make a click on this one. I'm going to save this. And what right now the system is doing, it's uploading this image as an attachment of the item that I previously selected, which is the D0002. Image have been submitted, and right now we have a record inserted in our ERP. So these are part of the capabilities and the functionality that D365 Finance and Operation has to offer in order to resolve or fulfill one of the ways we have to generate a bigger or faster ROI by replacing our legacy system, which is unified business management solutions. That was kind of the focus that I would like to have today, right? I try to show a little bit about supply chain, what we can do, what's the end goal, what are the tools that we could use to make our operation as efficient as we can. Again, today was just an overview, so we will be more than glad to stay in touch with you in case you need to discuss what your next steps are. What are your roadblockers that you have currently in order to keep your business growing, right? And definitely we could help you with an approach depending of your needs, right? So this implementation that you could be looking for doesn't need to be all or nothing, right? A right strategy, a correct approach, and a correct requirement gathering will take you where you want to be. So if you like, we will be more than glad to help you out to develop this roadmap for you and your company. So I'll let then the time that we have left for any type of question, right, that you could have. And thank you very much for your time.